Welcome back for another flow. Today we're focusing more into the hips, and this is a great flow to be doing post-training or on a day that you're feeling particularly stiff and just need to open up some space. We're going to begin lying down. Bring yourself onto your back, draw your knees in towards your chest, and then all you're going to do is just make some little rocks and circles into the lower back. You can hug the knees in, change direction. From there, place your hands onto your knees, widen your knees. And then think about making circles with the hips. Nice big circles, rolling them one way and then the other way. We're going to draw the knees back into the center, give them another hug, rock side to side. Bring your arms out onto the ground and then just let the knees draw down to one side. Try not to let them drop. Just control them down to the floor. Draw them in tightly towards the tummy and then take them across to the other side. You can look towards the opposite arm. We'll just do that once more each side. Draw them in and across and in and across. From there, bring your feet onto the ground. We just go through some really gentle rotations at the hips. So just letting one knee draw in, the other go out, and just move side to side. See how the hips are feeling. You can continue just moving side to side, or a little bit of an internal hip stretch. As one knee goes in, the other foot draws on top of that thigh, gently drawing it down towards the floor. Don't worry if it doesn't go anywhere near the ground. Try to keep your bum and your lower back towards the mat so it doesn't just rock over. And then bring that in, switch to the other side. Knee goes in, pin down through here, other foot on top of the thigh, and just feel that stretch into the hip rather than letting it drop over to the ground and arching the back. Keep your lower back onto the mat. And then from there, release. We're going to rock up to a seated position. Do a couple of rolls. Bring yourself up. And we're going to come into a 90-90 position with the hips. So front leg, you've got knee in line with hip, ankle in line with knee. Same with the back leg. If it's too much to sit like this, you can either place a block under your front thigh, or you can just shorten the distance and bring the back knee and the foot closer together. Square the front leg. Hands can be on the floor. We're going to think about pressing this front hip, the outer hip, down into the ground. So push down through the thigh. Take a breath in through the nose. As you exhale, think about hinging and bringing your torso closer towards that front leg. You can breathe out of the nose or the mouth. Take another full breath in, press the leg into the ground. And as you exhale, seeing if we can come deeper. Trying not to think about just rounding and drawing the head down towards the floor. Imagine you're drawing your belly button towards your shin. Press through that leg and exhaling deeper again into that stretch. Really resisting against the ground and then relaxing as you exhale. One more breath. Inhaling, pressing into the ground. And exhale. And you can bring the arms out in front and you can just hold that for a moment. Breathe naturally. Trying to breathe in through the nose and out of the nose or out of the mouth. Just feel that stretch into the outer hip and glutes. Going to come up from here, square your body to face the back knee now. So we're now working more into the internal rotation on this back hip. You can bring your hands behind you and lean back and just face that knee. Feel that stretch into the hip. Think about pushing the knee down into the floor as well. You can even just do that as contractions, push down for 5 seconds. And then relax and repeat. You can bring yourself up taller if you're able to sit all the way up. Still press this front leg into the ground as well. And then we're going to transition to the other side. So bring your hands back behind you, lift the back knee up, take it as far as you can, trying to still press this front leg into the ground as you open the hips, and then slowly transition across, trying to resist the hips away from each other, all the way to the opposite side, back into our 90-90 position. So again, front knee and ankle 90 degrees, same with the back leg, or draw them a little bit closer to help you sit up, or place a block underneath your bum. First thing we're going to do is square the torso towards that front shin. Hands can be on the ground. Press the front leg into the ground. Take a breath in. Exhale, hinge and fold. Again, another inhale, really press and resist that leg into the ground. Should feel that outer thigh and hip really fire up here. And exhale. 3 more breaths. Resist against the floor. And exhale. 2 more. Last one, you can fold over, so really resist against the floor. And exhale, bring yourself over that leg. And you can keep going through contract, relax with that outer hip, pressing into the mat, just as you hold the stretch. From here, we'll bring ourselves up and then square your body to face the back knee. So you can lean back, hands on the ground behind you. Feel that stretch around the hip in that back leg. And then you can start to come up taller. Just go where feels right for your body. Press the knee, press the leg down into the ground. Also press this leg down. And you can just go through some contract, relax there as well. Resisting against the floor for 5 seconds and then relaxing. And from here, we'll open the back knee and rotate to the other side. You can just go through a few rotations, opening up side to side, add as much or as little resistance as you like as you move side to side. You can also try it without using your hands. Might get a couple of good clicks into your hips. And from there, shake out. We're going to go into a lunge position. So bring yourself up. Either side is fine. We're going to do both. I'm going to bring my right leg up in front. And from this lunge position, you want to think about tucking the pelvis under and pinning the ribs down. As you do that, engage your glutes and you should feel already a stretch into the front of the hip down this thigh. So you can just hold it here and breathe into it. I also like to think about pulling the front foot towards me or feel some engagement into the hamstrings of this front leg. At the same time, squeezing the glutes, tucking the bum under and driving the hip forward. You should feel that stretch increase. You can gradually increase and decrease the amount of tension that you're creating in this position. So almost sort of apply that sort of contract, relax. Where you can relax this all and then engage, press that hip forward. Keep breathing. So stay up nice and tall here, or we can go deeper into the lunge by opening this back hip, trying not to then arch through the lower back, so keep the glutes on, the ribs down, pressing and opening the front of this hip. You can bring your hands down if that feels accessible. And all I'm going to do from here is reach the inside arm so the hand closest to the foot reaches back and holds onto that back foot. If any of these feel too much, just take it back a step. You can stay in that tall kneeling lunge. So we're adding a rotation here too. Look over the back shoulder towards the foot if you can. Keep engaging the glutes. you want to add a little bit of intensity here and take it further, we're going to kick the foot back into the hand as you pull the hand onto the foot for 5 seconds, and then relax and repeat. So press the foot into the hand, pull the hand onto the foot, engage the glutes. And then soften to follow and feel the hip opening out a little bit more. Just once more, kick back. And release. Bring yourself up, back to that tall kneeling lunge, unless you're already still there. We're going to bring this back foot and tuck it in behind. You can take the leg out a bit wider and straighten the front foot, so the front foot stays where it was. All we're going to do from here is bend into the front leg, so we're now opening up more into the groin. You can use your hands on the floor, you can hold on to something, you can just move in and out to start with. Just get a feel for where you're asking your hips to go. And then from here, you're just going to hold it. I like to bring the hand or the arm inside that front leg to really help open this hip so the knee doesn't start to track inward. If it gets too much at any point, just bring yourself up and then go back in again. Whilst you're in this stretch, you can increase the intensity again by squeezing the ground between the legs. So imagine you're pulling your heel towards your knee and your knee towards your heel, and you'll feel the inner thighs activate, and then you can follow that by relaxing again, sort of 5 seconds at a time. And then maybe release in between if it feels too much. Go in again, squeeze the ground between the legs. And then exhale, relax, see if the hips open a bit more. And release from there. All we're going to do is come around to the opposite side. So bring the other foot up in front so that we can work into the hip flexors. Tuck the tailbone under, engage the glutes, press the back hip forward. At the same time, pull the front foot towards you and feel that stretch down the front of the thigh. Keep tucking the tailbone. Breathing in and out of the nose. You can stay up here, or we're going to go into our rotation and foot hold. So bring the hands down inside that front foot. The hand closest to the foot reaches back, open the chest. Hold onto the foot. So while you're here, just focusing on your breathing, and then we can add those extra contractions by kicking the foot into the hand, pulling the hand onto the foot for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then releasing. Feeling that stretch for a moment. You can hold the stretch in between for a little bit longer. And then maybe again, kick the foot into the hand, pull the hand onto the foot for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let the hips open. And we'll do that one more time. Kick the foot into the hand, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then just hold the stretch. Remember, you can just be up in that tall kneeling lunge. Keep rotating and opening the chest. And then release. Bring yourself back up. We're going to tuck this back foot in. You can use the hands to take the legs a bit wider. Toes of that front foot pointing straight to the top of the mat. And then we're bending into the hip. So just like I'm doing here, you can use your hands on the floor or even yoga blocks to help with this position. You can move in and out. And then again, I like to bring this arm inside that front leg just to help me avoid allowing the knee to pop in and compensate. So as we're in the bottom of this lunge position, you're going to grip and squeeze the ground between the legs. Just count down from 5 in your head and then relax into it. Maybe come up in between. Again, squeeze the ground. Keep trying to open those hips more and more. Using your breath will really help. Exhales is going to be where you can create a bit more space. And then bring yourself up. We're going to come out and come back to the other side. So bring the other foot back up in front. So I've got my right foot up in front. Come back up to that tall kneeling lunge position. We're going to look at working into the hamstrings more now. So from this position, just send your hips back, pull the front toes up. You can bend the front knee. You can use blocks under your hands, hold on to anything that helps support you, or bring yourself up and press that front heel into the floor, just gently. So with the knee bent or straight, you can also point or flex at the ankle. Pulling the toes up is going to shorten the calves. So have a little play with doing both and just see what it feels like. All we're going to do from here is take a full breath in, push the heel down, and then exhale. Think about tilting the pelvis forwards, push the hips back. This front thigh bone draws up into the hip. And on each exhale, you're going to see if you can go a little bit deeper. Again, taking a breath in, make sure you're pushing that foot into the floor. And exhale, soften a bit more. Seeing if you can hinge further with that leg. Try to keep the spine long and try to avoid rounding and just forcing the head down. We want to try and really hinge at the hips and feel that more into the hamstrings. I like to have my hands on the hips so I can load this more, challenge it a bit further, but you may find you need that support so you can put a bit of weight through the upper body. Another inhale, pushing the foot down, exhale, hinge and fold. And again, taking a full breath in, really fill up the lungs. Pushing the heel into the floor and exhale. Whilst you're here, with or without the use of your hands, you can rotate this thigh so the foot turns in and out. Just feel that stretch move into other areas in the back of that leg. Remember that knee can still be bent as well. And we'll come back up from here and we're just going to switch to the opposite side. You don't have to spin around like me, it's just so that you can see from both sides. So we start into that lunge position. All we're going to do from here is send the hips back and pull the front toes up. You can bring your hands up onto your hips. You can also hook your back toes. I didn't say that on the other side, but you can hook your back toes. It might help with your balance a little bit too. Take a full breath in through the nose. Press the heel gently into the ground. Remember that knee can bend. Exhale, tilt the pelvis forwards. Really push the hips back. At the same time, the thigh bone's drawing in and up. Keep using your breath. On each exhale, seeing if you can access a bit more range. Remember, you can elevate your hands on blocks as well. I like to keep my eyes lifted forward and the chest open. If you start looking down, you're more likely to start to hunch over here. And then once we're in the bottom, you can start to add those rotations as well. Hands can still be on the hips or supported on top of something, and just rotate that thigh. If you're not using your hands on the ground, you will feel that intensity increase as you're pressing the heel into the ground and adding that rotation. We're going to bring ourselves back up and out into a seated position. And we're coming into a butterfly stretch. So you're going to want to, well, I prefer to have a wall or something to lean against. So sit with your back up against the wall. And then have the feet out in front. You can bring them quite a way away and just have the soles of the feet starting to turn up. And then from there, obviously the further I bring them in here, you may find that your knees are pointing up like this. So that's where I would say just test it, see how it feels, and take them further away to create a bit more space. Sitting up tall, that's what the wall's going to help with. And you want to try and think about the pelvis tilting forward slightly. So you may also find placing a yoga block or a cushion, or more than one cushion, under your bum just to help you sit up taller in the hips. All we're going to do from here is place the hands on top of the thighs and just sit there for a moment. Do some gentle lifts and lowers with the knees, just butterfly through the legs. Notice how that feels into the hips, into the groin. You can have a go at pressing down a little bit more firmly just on one side, and then releasing, and then pressing down on the opposite side. Notice if there's a big difference between one side and the other. You can just work into that first for a moment. And maybe then press down with both together at the same time, and then lift. We're going to add a bit more contract relax here. So once you've just opened up a little bit and just moved into the hips here, what we're going to do next is press down into the knees just gently, and at the same time pull up with the knees so they're resisting against each other. So the knees are going up, the hands are pushing down. And you're going to do that for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then relax, taking the knees out wider. Now we're going to engage through the glutes to think about pulling the knees down towards the floor. So you should feel that activation, feel the hips opening, and then you can release a little, maybe shake them out. And just have a moment to breathe, and then we'll do that again. So we're going to press down into the knees at the same time, resist the knees up against the hands for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then relax, stretch and open. And from here, we're now going to squeeze the glutes and engage the glutes firmly so that you feel the hips opening. Imagining you're really trying to use the glutes to help pull the knees down, and then release. In between, if it gets too much, you can always bring yourself out completely. Rotate the hips a little bit here, and then bring yourself back in. Let's have a moment just stretching first. We'll do that 3 more times through, seeing if you can start to feel the hips opening more. So pressing down and pulling up with the knees. You can maybe increase that intensity now, push a bit harder. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then release. Now engage the glutes, pull the hips open. And then soften into the hips. Have a little shake out in between. Twice more. Press down, pull up with the knees. Again, maybe increase that intensity. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then let the hips open. Now engage the glutes. Think about pulling the knees down. Seeing if as you take the hands away, can you really pull them towards the floor? You can even test out, push them down a bit harder with the hands, and then engage the glutes. Can you keep them there, or do they ping back up? Okay, release, shake it out. I'm gonna do that one more time. And I'm definitely starting to feel more open now. I hope yours are as well. So once more, press down and pull up, resist against it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Press the knees down, now engage the glutes. Holding it there, breathing through the nose, maybe hover the hands. And release. Shake your legs out. Hips always feel really good for that one. Hope yours do as well. We're going to bring ourselves into a squat position on the mat. So sitting in a squat, you can elevate your heels. You could place something under your heels to help if sitting in a squat feels super uncomfortable. So any variation, or even just a half squat for a moment. We're not going to be here for too long. A bit of a wiggle about into the squat, move around. All we're going to do from here is start to come up into a wide stance with the legs. So from your squat position, lift your hips and toe heel your feet out. Go to a wide stance, which will be relative to your hips. You can play around with this once we're stood up. So slightly bend the knees, bring the chest up, stand tall. We're going to do some sumo squats with a hip hinge. For this one, you're going to think about pulling the hips down in line with the heels. So you can have toes forward. You might feel you need to slightly turn them out. Find a position that feels right for your body. We're going to pull the hips down in line with the heels. Really try to roll the thighs out. Engage the glutes. Bring the arms out in front. Gently squeeze the fists. Keeping the chest up. Breathe. Keep trying to open the hips more and more. Challenging the depth as well. And then from here, all we're going to do is push the hips back as you start to straighten the legs. We can be up high here. This is going to be relative to your flexibility. So if need be, bend the knees, push the hips back this way. They don't have to be straight. So I can go from my squat position, hips push back, knees can stay bent or they can straighten, but I'm really hinging at the hips here. And then I'm coming back into my squat position and back into my hinge. From the side, it looks like this. So I've gone into my squat and then pushed the hips back into a hinge position. So I'm keeping length in the spine still, rather than tucking the pelvis under. I'm trying to tilt the pelvis forwards here, and it can be straight leg. If you're a bit more flexible, you can obviously come down lower as well. So we're going to do 5 of these. Come down into your squat and hold it for 5, 4, keep trying to open the hips, 3, 2, 1, push the hips back, coming into a hinge. You can work your way deeper over time. Pull up on the muscles above the knees, the quadriceps, pulling yourself in, using the strength in your hips to pull yourself in. And then come back into your squat, holding, really trying to open the hips, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, push the hips back and hinge. Don't worry if you are nowhere near reaching the floor. In this one, you could also have yoga blocks out in front for a bit of support to hold on to something. Let's go again, back into your squat. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hips push back. Have a bit of a wiggle about as well as you fold over if that feels good. Think about using the strength in the hips to pull yourself in. Let's go again, back into your squat. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and hinge. Once more, back to your squat. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and hinge. Shake out as much as you need to. You can even rock your weight side to side. Hands can be on the floor. Bring yourself up to standing if you need to come out. Soften the knees, lift the chest, bring yourself out. We're gonna toe heel the feet in and come back into a squat. See how your squat feels. You might just feel really tired. So have a bit of a rock around. From here, bring yourself onto your bum. Use your hands to help. We're going to do some plow rocks. So rock to the shoulders. Knees can bend towards your face. The weight is on the shoulders and the backs of the arms. It's not on the neck. Come back up. And again, rocking back. You can, if your flexibility allows you to, extend the legs overhead. And rock up. 3 more, rock back. You can also think about walking your feet slightly to one side, to the center, slightly to the other side, to the center, back up. Really press through the backs of the arms and the shoulders. One more. Stretching out the spine, the lower back. Rock up. From here, bring yourself into any comfortable position. You can just lie down, have a rest. I'd love to hear how you got on in the comments, so please leave me a comment below. If there's anything you would like to request for me to video next, then let me know that too. But thanks for joining me for another flow. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one.